So in the chat, you could put, what are some of the thoughts that come up when you think of the word love? For we are almost at February the 14th, and particularly in the West, they have Valentine's Day and a lot of commercial advertisements and buy this, buy that for your loved one. However, on a spiritual level, what does love mean? And there's a song by Tina Turner, What's Love Got to Do with It? So let's look spiritually. So I love it. Sharon has put unconditional. Yes, that ability to see past the external, to be able to look with the inner eye. And also someone has put trusting. And love means the ego does not need validation from any attachment. Wow, powerful. And some other qualities are caring, sharing, generosity of spirit, openness, that ability to be able to listen deep within and listen to one's own inner heart and inner mind of who I truly am as a spiritual being. So being compassionate, compassion is a very essential part. Honesty. So really what a number of you are describing is being authentic, being real, having that inner self-respect. Here's another lovely one. Actually, love to me is being like a small child, love without any barriers of any sort. Wow, that's beautiful. Just pure and light, all positive virtues. Wonderful. So it's obvious that each of you are very present to what love is. So for a moment, close your eyes. Take a deep cleansing breath. And imagine you are breathing through your feet, up your legs, through the abdomen, up through the chest, to the top of the head. And as you slowly breathe out through the mouth, imagine the breath is cascading over your head and down your back. And again, take another deep cleansing breath. And whilst your eyes are closed, take your arms and wrap them around you and give yourself a big hug. And again, breathe in and out and maybe massage your neck, your shoulders, your arms. And again, tune in, listening within. How do you feel inside when you give that big hug to yourself? And you can put in the chat, what are the feelings? Because it is so important not only to think of the words, it's very important as an eternal spiritual being to be able to tune in to the feelings. The feelings, both the positive and the negative, are signposts for me to be more aware of how I am in this moment, and then make choices to transform sad feelings. However, in this moment, I'm sure that's not the feelings at this moment. So the feelings when giving a hug to self, how does that feel? There's a warmth. Sometimes there's a tingling. Sometimes it feels so peaceful, so calm. And what actually is happening inside, the message to the brain is sending the happy chemicals to release through the body, the endorphins, so that there's a feeling of upliftment. So this is one of the tools you have to bring yourself back into your center, into your calm. And so maybe in your journal, on your paper, on one side, you can be putting the tips that bring me back into love, into that, all those inner qualities that you shared before. And on the opposite page, we will be exploring what fear is. So that I know, also be aware of where in your body first did you feel that feeling of love when you gave the hug? Because that's another sign that you can bring into your conscious awareness when going through a challenge. However, we need to also look at the other side of the coin, because at this time we live in a world of duality. And this is what I call the old world paradigm, the old world language and communication of blame, attack, judgment, and criticism. And that the biggest critic on the planet can be myself of self. And then I can start pointing the finger out to blame or judge others. So that's the old world that traps me and traps other in a game of conflict, of external power and domination. And on the spiritual path, we are continually learning how to treat myself with that inner self-care, inner listening, inner attention, inner self-respect, so that I can rise above the feelings of fear and bring these eternal spiritual qualities into my relationships and communication with others. So let's look at the other side of the coin of fear. And I'm going to see if I can share a slide. So bear with me for a moment. And hopefully this is big enough that you can see it. So what we're looking at is making friends with fear. And so first of all, let's look at what fear is. Fear is a state of mind that traps me in a state of confusion, chaos, and disconnection with my true wise self. Learning to make friends with our fears can be a liberating experience. Personal experiences of breaking through the illusions of fear. Oops. Fear is the opposite of pure energy. Let me go back to so if I think about fear, I need the courage by gently inviting our fear to come forward and asking it what it needs to move onto, into courage. And have you ever considered that struggles we go through when facing our fear is a disguise that wants our acceptance and love? So when I can see that fear is actually my friend, it's trying to tell me something that maybe I have ignored or procrastinating on and have shoved down deep within myself and am in deep denial. So that feeling of fear can actually be a signal to go back within and listen. So I have the key to unlock my inner kingdom, the mind, and release the fear. So feel the fear and do it anyway. Fear is a state of mind that traps me in a state of confusion, chaos, and disconnection. Personal experiences are breaking through the illusions of fear, and we're going to explore that in a moment. Fear is the opposite of the pure energy of love and courage. And fear can mean, and maybe if you write this down as an acronym, fear, F-E-A-R, one letter under another, and F for false, E for evidence, A for appearing, and R for real. And that sounded very confusing to me when I first heard it. But then I began to realize that false evidence appearing real is what this is all about. And so I'd like us to think for a moment about fear. And yet, whilst doing this exercise, I invite you to be the compassionate, gentle, loving observer of self. So becoming your best friend rather than your inner critic. And so close your eyes for a moment and take some deep cleansing breaths again. Breathing in through the nose slowly, out through the mouth. And you can close the eyes, relax the body. And again, imagine the breath from the feet, breathing up through the legs, the abdomen, the chest, to the top of the head. Allow the breath to cascade down the back. And breathe in again. And as you remain that gentle, compassionate observer of self, being a witness, think of a time, maybe recently, where you experienced some fear. Maybe you were being criticized, or you felt embarrassed, or you had a near accident, maybe in a car. So some fear that came up for you, though, that you were late for a meeting or finishing a report or preparing for an exam. And observe where in your body did you first feel the fear, that stress, that tension, that uncertainty. And you can put that in the chat as well. So for me, it's the stomach first that contracts. For some people, it will be the shoulders going up. You can open your eyes now. Take a few more deep cleansing breaths. Give yourself a hug if you feel a bit wobbly. Be gentle with yourself. Some, it's the back. Some, it's the headache. So some, it's the beating heart or the hyperventilation where can't catch the breath. it's important to be aware. Yes, someone's put shoulders and chest, another has put head and anxiety. Yes. So a number of what I've suggested, different people are sharing. Thank you. And so it's important. I call this the biological barometer that gives me an indication if I, the soul, the conscious mind, has not picked up quickly that I'm in a state of fear or anxiety or stress, then the body, which is my first costume of I, the soul, will react in some of these different ways that you have described and I have mentioned. So again, important to give myself a hug to counteract the adrenaline that is being released from the brain. Remember, the brain is a physical organ separate from the conscious mind of I, the soul, that is of light. So there is a big difference. However, the message to the brain is either to go into fight or flight or freeze. So these are three things to put under the title of fear. Fight, flight, or freeze. And be aware of which is your main default button when you are experiencing either inner stress and anxiety, or that it has externalized into the external situation or personality that is triggering the fear within. And be able to catch yourself and remind yourself that you are more than this fear. Because as I said before, false evidence appearing real, most fears are not real. And of course, there is a time when fear is important. If there is a real danger, like if I'm standing on the side of a busy road and I think the traffic is clear and I step off the pavement onto the road, and then all of a sudden I see a truck coming towards me, then it's really helpful that adrenaline pumping from the brain through this body causes me to be able to move very quickly back out of the danger. However, check it out for yourself. If during the day I've had lots of worrying thoughts, lots of negative, fearful thoughts, anxiety, stress throughout the day, by the end of the day, how do I feel? I feel exhausted, stressed, worried. And yet, check it out. Most of those fears did not happen. So that's where the false evidence appearing real. I've been triggered by old negative stories. So it's important to identify what old negative thoughts do I carry within the subconscious mind of I, the soul. And I'll give you some examples and you can put them under your list of fears, and maybe one jumps out that's yours, or another one is reminded by what I say. So some of the common fears that human beings have at this time are not good enough, I'm not worthy, I'm not valuable, I'm not lovable, or everybody is better than me. So when identifying those, another tip to use in the antidote of love to transform fear is look at one of those negative sayings like, I'm not valuable, and remove the negative words and bring it into the present. So I am valuable, or I'm not successful. change it into I am successful, and say it 3 times, gently and lovingly to self. Again, being that inner observer of self, and see how the body starts to relax. See how you can breathe more deeply, how the expression on the face changes. So becoming my best friend, inner coach, is essential. That check and change. I'd like to go back for a moment to the fight, flight, and freeze, which is learnt behavior that human beings have at this time on the planet. And the fight will start with that negative inner self-talk, the inner critic, that then could come out in negative words that create conflict between myself and another. And you know that that only brings sorrow and pain to self and another. Or it can become more violent. And on the planet, regrettably, we witness a lot of this, of where it can be physical violence, or a knife, a gun, or at this time on the planet, bombs as well. So fight can move from that violent communication. And here, the Brahma Kumaris, we of course teach how to be non-violent. So non-violent in my thoughts, non-violent in my communication, my intention, my action, relationships. And that's what we're focusing on, which embodies true love. The flight is where I avoid, where I run away from negativity. And there are some things that, yes, I will use the power to discern that are dangerous, that it is accurate to move away. However, I need to check, where am I avoiding and putting my head in the sand like an ostrich? Where do I procrastinate? Where do I go into denial and push down strong emotions and feelings and pretend that everything is okay? That then creates repression, suppression internally, and then depression. So it is continually important to be gentle and compassionate with myself, to check and identify, what is this fear? Is it triggering an old negative belief? Let me look at, what is it maybe it's time to speak my truth. Maybe it's time to change that old habit. Maybe it's time to think in a different way with more creativity, more positivity. So only I can make that decision by having that inner dialogue. And then the other one is the freeze. It's like a deer caught in the headlights of a car, that I'm in such shock by what's been said to me that I freeze. So rise above that freeze and check in with self. Observe, discern, and make a decision that will be uplifting and accurate for me. So again, using these spiritual powers in these creative ways moves me away from being stuck in the fear and being able to use the power of that fear to transform it into a different way of thinking and being, through compassion, through deep inner listening and observing, that brings me back into balance, back into the now, the present, that is the gift. And what is the antidote? So the antidote to the fight, flight, and freeze is another F, a beautiful one. It's the flow. Well, when I am in the flow, and close your eyes for a moment. Again, take a few deep cleansing breaths. And I'd like you to imagine that you are on the top of a beautiful mountain. And with your inner mind's eye, you can see 360 degrees around you, the beautiful green, verdant valleys below. There's some tiny little white clouds above, bright blue sky. The sun is shining on your face, and there's a gentle breeze. And you feel so relaxed and carefree. When you look down at your feet, you see a tiny bubbling little brook. The water is flowing from the center of the earth. It's crystal clear, and it's creating a beautiful little pond. Put your hand in the water. You can drink the water. It's so clean, so cool, so pure. And then observe how the water is finding a pathway down the mountain. It is almost like it is going in a spiral down and around and further down the mountain. And at a certain point, the water hits a huge rock boulder and it goes over it and creates a sparkling, crystal clear rainbow waterfall. And then as the water flows further down the mountain, it creates a wider stream that becomes, by the time it's at the bottom of the mountain, through the valley, becomes a broad river. And then the river flows down and out to merge with the ocean. So flow. How can I flow more in my life? Being that attentive, alert, aware being to move through life with eyes wide open, using the third eye with the power of observation, the power to let go, power to discern, and then make a decision. So then I'm able to adapt and adjust more to life. Because the one guarantee in life is change. So I need to learn how to be more resilient, more adaptable, more accommodating, and yet not lose my inner integrity, my inner authenticity, my inner wisdom. For within soul, I have all the wisdom, and I know what is accurate for me. So I'm going to offer a meditation now to explore more in the letting go, because letting go of negativity is very important to keep clearing the inner mind and the inner heart of either soul. So I'm going to share screen, and I'd like you to relax the body again. You can keep your eyes open because it's going to be an audio video, and hopefully it will come up in a moment. Yes. And take a few deep cleansing breaths. And enjoy.
The art of letting go. Letting go makes us so spiritually powerful that we directly experience our innate qualities such as peace, love, joy, and wisdom. Letting go works behind the scenes in our relationships and interactions. Here is an open secret for you. If you want your life to be meaningful, and if you want deep personal transformation, then letting go is essential. What does letting go mean? It is our capacity to powerfully stay in the here and now. It helps us to discard useless thoughts, negative influences, feeling regret, and anxiety. You become a master of your monkey mind, and you fully experience being present in the here and now. When you continually practice letting go, it becomes your personal power. You truly become a master. You then command this power to shape your responses to people and the world around you. So let's meditate. To learn the art of letting go, I urge all my listeners to practice this meditation regularly. Keep playing it again and again, and talk to yourself gently in the first person. I prepare for the return journey back to my spiritual home. For this journey, I'm going to fly. On this journey, the lighter I travel, the happier I will be. I take only essential things. I leave behind the baggage of worrying about the future and feeling guilty about the past. The only things I want in my luggage are my beautiful experiences and the lessons I've learned. I reflect on the last few weeks and mentally summarize the most essential learning. I summarize in a sentence the essence of my understanding. It could be, I am luminous light, I am eternal, or I'm a peaceful soul, or the source of love can be found within me. I take a moment now to find my morsel of wisdom. When my mind starts wandering to a particular person or situation, I just repeat this summary, the learning, like a mantra. This mantra is transporting me to a place of stillness, and I'm beginning to feel refreshed. In this silence, I ask myself, what is an insight I need right now to master letting go? I remember Shakespeare's words, all the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. I realized that everyone was playing a part. They were perfect actors. Everyone played their part so well that I thought it was real. But it is just a play. There is nothing or no one to blame. It is all perfectly imperfect. Mentally, I see all the actors in my life. I take a deep breath and with intentionality, release them from my expectations. I thank them for playing their imperfect parts perfectly. This gives me the strength to forgive. I'm letting go and moving on and leaving everything behind. I keep reminding myself again and again, this is the return journey back to my spiritual home. I now have to remember that I'm a beautiful, luminous being of light in this body. I'm the life force of this body. Even if the body perishes, I, the soul, am imperishable. This is giving me the strength to trust in myself, the destination, and the supreme pilot. I'm focused on here and now. Every time I remember the past, I take a moment and just see the light in everyone. I make a mental note that everyone is on their return journey back home. I am determined to return home without any baggage of the past. I keep reminding myself that beautiful things are in store for me because God is my pilot. Anxiety for the future is slowly disappearing in the light of this wisdom. I keep my peace, knowing that I can trust in God. On this journey, I have to let go and just look at the destination. The destination is very close. I can feel my sweet home. It is a luminous space of light. I'm a luminous being of light in this glorious world of light. I am weightless and free here. I belong here. Silence is pulsating through this spiritual universe. This sweet silence is pervading my whole being. Here in the home, I can stay in my original, true state. Without a costume, without a role, just in sweet silence. I feel still and peaceful. With this powerful thought, I come to here and now. Letting go is becoming a power within me. This power makes my life so simple, smooth, and graceful.
So gently come back, open your eyes, maybe have a little stretch. And hopefully that helps you even more to see how you can let go with love, let go with gentleness and kindness. And I think there's a number of, anyone would like to put anything in the chat on how you feel after that meditation. And this is another lovely resource if you're not aware of it. It's called Release Your Wings. There's a whole series and you can find it on YouTube. And Shireen, one of our Brahma Kumari's yogis from New York, creates these powerful, very practical spiritual meditations. So I highly recommend them. And Aksha has said, yes, that was wonderful, at peace. So letting go is another tool. It's part of the antidote to fear. First, I need to recognize, Nash said, feeling light. I first need to recognize, what am I holding on to? Is it that false evidence appearing real and that I've blown it up into a big inner monster that actually does not have any substance? As I suggested before, be the observer, check over the next week. How many of the stress, anxiety, fear, and the body feeling tense by the end of the day, how many fears actually happened? Very few. So it's now becoming more aware of, by letting go of that that does not belong to me any longer, then I am releasing stuck negative energy and creating sacred space for more of the spiritual qualities to flow within me. Remember, we're moving from the fight, flight, freeze into the flow like a beautiful, crystal clear river. I'm going to list, I've mentioned quite a few already, and then I'm going to open up in a little while if you've got any questions or any observations for yourself. Oh, this is beautiful. Let me share this. Relaxed, peaceful, light, feeling like an angel. Give the peace of happiness to others. And I'm very grateful for this meditation. And somebody else has shared something that was wonderful, at peace. And someone else has said, letting go is easier said than done. I've had the fear since childhood, being in a car accident. And I totally appreciate that some of the experiences we've had in the past are very deep within the psyche of the mind, of the soul. And it takes time for healing. So this is not an instant cure, because layers upon layers of negative feelings, experiences have built up in each of us to a lesser or greater extent. However, in the cleansing and releasing from the deep wounds within the heart of the soul, it needs many times to go back and give more love, give more attention, give that deeper inner listening, and the hugs and these other tools that I'm suggesting over time will release that. And at times, sometimes one does need a professional counselor to assist. However, these spiritual tools will help you. And one of the phrases that you could experiment with is, "That was then. I was a little child when that happened." And identify what fears have come up for you. And say, now, at this time, I am giving the little child within such love, such attention. I'm listening to the fears of the little one inside. And I am reassuring the little child inside that I will keep you safe and I will look after you. And together, we are going to take on steps in the present into a more freeing way to look at life. So create a little phrase like that that can help to liberate you, bring you back into freedom. It takes time, it takes patience, and a lot of self-care. However, it is possible. The letting go meditation can help as well. So surround yourself with beautiful things is another tip. And when I say beautiful things, they can be very tiny things. It's like I've got behind my head a few daffodils that have opened up from a tight bud. And the fragrance and the beauty of the yellow reminds me that spring, as Margaret has said, is on its way. Or maybe one tiny crystal hanging by the window. So the sunlight, when it catches it, sends rainbow fish around the inner walls of the room I'm sitting in. Creating affirmations, so changing those negative thoughts into a positive one in the present. Look for the essence in everything in life. When you go for your early morning walk, or when you look out the window after a night of maybe snow or rain, look for the dewdrops. And if you're fortunate and the sun is shining, then it creates rainbows within that dewdrop, like a diamond. Or look at a tree and a bird that's singing on the branch. So there are many ways of tiny little ways that I can appreciate without spending money or doing a lot of things. It's becoming more alert and aware in the present moment. And of course, being that gentle, compassionate observer of self. And I'd mentioned at the beginning about presence, and being present is essential at this time because it rises above that strangling negative energy that gets stuck in the body when fear is triggered. And remember, most fear is false evidence appearing real. It's triggering an old memory. So an example of presence and present my first career, my first love from age 5 was to be a nurse. So imagine Masana when she was a student nurse at age 18. And at that time, I was on a medical ward, a male medical ward, and it was night duty. And I was the only nurse on in that moment. And there was an elderly gentleman had been brought in who was a street person, and he was unconscious. And very soon it was clear the soul was going to leave the body. No friends, no family, no relatives were with him. And I sat beside his bed because even at 18, I had the awareness to stay still, gently place my hand on his hand so that he could feel the presence of another. And I sent him such warm, positive, gentle feelings and thoughts. And during that time, I sat with him, being very present in the quiet, still night. That soul left the body. So at least that soul at that time, although he clearly had had quite a challenging, sad end to his life, being a homeless street person, there was one person, a young nurse, who was willing to sit with him and be so present. So be aware that you are a gift. You're a gift first to yourself and then a gift for others. I see that there is a question, so I'm going to move on to anything that anyone has for the next 10 minutes, any questions or observations. And one of the questions is, before the question, in silence, Ganesha said, in silence, flowers bloom, seeds grow into trees, caterpillars change to butterflies. So that wonderful transformation. And did you know that when the caterpillar creates and weaves a cocoon around itself, that the cells within the cocoon are called the imaginal cells? Isn't that amazing? So that every cell of the caterpillar that was in the past moving with many little feet on the ground, with nose on the ground, not even able to see the sky, caught on the ground. Think of that as body consciousness, trapped. Then is in a cocoon, and every cell of the caterpillar becomes like soup, like liquid, and then transforms, the pure magic of transforming every cell, the imaginal cells, from a creature that crawls on the ground and turns into the most exquisite butterfly. And when the butterfly re-emerges, the wings flow out and they are full of iridescent color. And the butterfly is free, has let go the ground, and now soars up into the sky in freedom. So think of yourself at times, use the symbol of the butterfly of transformation. And there is a question, there's a question, so sorry, wrong button. So there's one about, I believe there was one on forgiveness. Can you share a little about forgiveness? And forgiveness, think of the words, separate them, forgiving. And the first person to give to is yourself. And that's what this whole evening is about. is being able to be caring, loving, gentle, compassionate with self, honoring self, becoming my own best friend. So before I can forgive anybody else, I first need to forgive myself. So what is it? What old memory or what old story am I holding on to that is blocking the flow? Remember the river? That is blocking the flow of self-care, self-love. So giving to myself, is it a hug? Is it reminding myself, giving myself a positive affirmation? Is it reminding myself that I no longer need to stay in the pain and the sorrow of the past? Past is past. Am I ready to put a full stop? Am I ready to create sacred space for newness to come in and love to come in of myself? And as I then am in more of an inner balance, take the sustenance from Supreme Soul, from the Supreme Father, Supreme Mother, and connect with the ocean of love. And as you fill more with that pure beauty, then gradually as your heart wound heals, you will be able to, by being connected with the Supreme Soul, send good wishes to the other that you experience hurt or shame or degradation from. That is a process, that's a journey. It always starts with the first step, and it's always with self. It's a journey. And another question, death is said to be a great fear. How can I overcome something that is not false and it will happen one day? I'm not afraid so much about my death, but it's the loss of a loved one. How can I deal with such a big loss? I keep having dreams of death. I would imagine that there are a number of people, particularly at this time, with the fear so rampant on the planet. And if I can say at this time, for me, the greatest virus, the greatest pandemic at this time, not a biological one of the COVID or the SARS or meningitis. I would suggest that the greatest fear that affects the minds and hearts of human beings at this time is fear. So it's really accurate that we are looking at it this time. So yes, there are a lot of people that are either scared of death themselves, or as this person said, I'm more scared of losing my loved one. And yes, when there is a deep bond with another, be it a family member, be it one of your children, be it your partner or a very close friend, the more that there have been exchanges of love and the relationship deepening, then the bonds have brought you closer together. And it does take time to let go of what you have taken sustenance from or what you have given to another. However, what might be helpful is to remind self that you are an eternal spiritual being and that the other is as well. And love is forever. So although the soul at times will leave the body and the body will be inanimate, the memories, the beautiful memories that you have of that loved one, the wonderful gifts that you have exchanged with each other by giving time and attention to each other, those memories will last forever. And so it takes time to let go of having that person still physically in your life. And so there are 5 main stages to grief. And grief, I need to go through those different stages, come out the other side from the darkness into the light. And at times I may need support for that. However, remember that the love is eternal and the light does come back in. It means adjustment and it takes time. To have a fear of death and holding on to someone who maybe it's their time to leave, like a lovely special friend of mine left the body a day ago. And I knew that she was in a lot of pain and that she had given of her best in life to many people, very loving soul. But it was her time to leave now. And so the greatest gift I could give her at that time was to send her love and good wishes. So whenever I think of her with light and love so she can continue to the next stage on her journey. I hope that helps a little. So are there any other questions or observations? I think there was one around anger, how to get rid of deep anger and hurt. And as I mentioned, that anger, well, I haven't actually, anger is a secondary emotion. Under the anger, it's important to see what is my unmet need. So under that secondary emotion will be an unmet need. And there are many unmet needs, which another description of that is universal human values. And there are 5 main ones that human beings have. One is a need to be listened to, a need to be accepted, a need to be understood, a need to be appreciated, and a need to feel safe. So if any of those needs are not met, then feelings under the anger will come up: sad, disappointed, upset, scared, worried. Any of those. Equally, fear will come up. And remember, the fear is the false evidence appearing real. So when I can go under the anger and ask myself, okay, you're feeling irritated, you're feeling frustrated, you're feeling that red hot energy flowing through the body that's causing the mind to shut down with anger. Ask yourself, what's my unmet need? Is it I need to be listened to? Okay, so I'm going to give myself the gift of listening to what is really upsetting me. Or is it a need to feel safe? Okay, how can I create more safety in my life? Is it that I need to detox from this negative relationship? Is it that I need to speak to my boss about being bullied at work? So going inside to identify, then I can understand what I need to do to help myself come through that with dignity, with self-respect. So let's look and see, are there any other? Okay, so there's another question here. How does one live with someone who is never kind? I know it is settling my accounts with that soul. I have to be patient, give good wishes. It is difficult at times to keep my stage stable. I feel even more down. Well, first of all, I'd like to say congratulations for being aware of that. It's maybe a past karmic account. It could be in this life where there have been deep misunderstandings, or the other person is living in a lot of pain and sorrow. And it's really important to become aware and step back, being that gentle, compassionate observer, and deciding, is this my problem or is it the other? Is it the other person's pain and sorrow that is being projected on me? Is it their garbage, their emotional, mental garbage? It is. Then I choose to step away. I see it as a trigger that's actually triggering my own heart wound. So I can do the inner work, and we've explored that in this last hour, how to take more care of myself physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. I also need to, in meditation, bring that pure light from Supreme Soul and create a protection all the way around me. Fill it with golden light, fill it with love and peace and purity. So before I leave my meditation, I have created a powerful protection around me. Also, to be aware of limiting the time that I spend in somebody's company that is projecting such negativity. And only I can decide when is it time to move out of that environment. Is it possible? So again, using the power to discern and the power to make decisions, and to maybe remember the phrase, if I always do what I've always done, I will always get the same results. So if I want something different, do and be different. So this takes courage. So meditate, all of you, on the power of courage, so that I can make changes in my life that bring me more freedom, more light to be who I truly am. I'm going to see if there's one more question, then I'm going to shortly offer another guided meditation. So someone wanted the 5 unmet needs, but someone's put them there. Thank you. Someone's put, do you have advice on? However, I don't see the rest of the question. So, okay. So someone's staying in love. Do you have advice on staying in love when you have low energy? Okay, thank you. Low energy. So low energy, there's many aspects to energy. There's the physical low energy. And because the soul lives in the body, when the soul's powers are depleted, and we use the phrase, the battery of the soul is weak at this time for each of us on the planet, because each of us can be affected by negativity, anger, attachment, greed, the ego game of either superiority or inferiority. Both are false. And so when I am consumed by fear, then the body reacts to that and becomes de-energized. And so again, it's how can I replenish the energy first in the soul? I need to connect with the one above that does not live in a body, does not get trapped on this earth, so has everlasting, pure spiritual powers, love, of purity, of happiness and joy. So all of those powers I need to keep tapping into, just like the phone or the laptop or the car. If I don't charge up the battery, it becomes weak. I need to keep recharging. And when I am filled with this self-awareness of who I really am, then I can face any challenge, any obstacle, I can discern, is this a real perceived threat or is this illusion? And move and jump over the obstacle, become stronger inside with courage, the power to face and take my next steps. Being a butterfly, remember? Flying free, flying over the challenges. I'm going to offer a meditation now. And I'd like you to sit where you are, sit alert, aware, and attentive. You can close your eyes if you choose, or you can look at the beautiful picture behind my head and focus on the golden spot in the center. Again, quietly take a few deep cleansing breaths. Breathe in slowly through the nose, slowly out through the mouth. And welcome on this inner journey of exploring the heart of I, the soul. Om Shanti. I breathe in and out, relax and let go. I take my attention away from this physical body, the temporary sacred temple for I, the soul. I breathe in a beautiful color. I allow the color to flow through every cell in the body, bringing lightness, gentleness, freedom, and creativity. I focus within the center of the forehead. I breathe deeply again, releasing the breath over the top of the head. Imagine you are sitting in a beautiful white room full of light and space. As you look around this inner room, this inner sanctuary, you begin to relax and let go more of any tension, fears, or worries. Experience waves of pure energy of compassion, love, and gentleness flow towards and around you, enveloping you in a safe, nurturing cocoon. As you relax deeper and deeper into the soft, nurturing cocoon, you become aware of the presence of a gentle being who radiates peace, love, and harmony from their eyes. You experience relaxing more deeply and releasing a fear that has affected your well-being. With courage, look at this old fear. It may be in the form of a shape, symbol, color, or sound. See with inner vision. Understand the message it is sharing with you. Maybe an old negative belief or judgment of self that you are now ready to see with the eyes of eternal truth and know that it is no longer true and no longer belongs to you. You are now ready to release into the ocean of love. Experience yourself expanding, feeling freer and lighter. Your inner heart begins to heal and fill with love, compassion, and light. Your inner wisdom and creativity re-emerges. May your life be full of freedom. May your life be full of goodness. May you walk with joy and happiness. Embrace the heart within. Embrace the love within. When you listen to the inner silence, you are drawn to inner truth. May you feel at peace. Om Shanti. So gently, gently, in your own time, open your eyes, maybe have a stretch, come back into the present moment. Yet know you can always revisit the inner white room, your own sacred sanctuary, for your ongoing inner healing, moving from fear into love. Thank you.